Greetings to all. Myself Mansi Aher and along with my friend Aditi Deshpande, today we are going to take you through our journey of exploring urbanism of gastronomic identities through varied examples of cities across India. The idea of writing about urbanism of gastronomic identities started with looking at food basic for human existence as part of urban life and social practices. What, how, and where we consume food is evolving with changing lifestyles and transforming urban morphology. But amid these changes, some traditional culinary legacies have survived over years, and most of these authentic recipes can be found in the home and street food of our old cities. These street food, just like the architecture of our old cities, have stories to tell about the history, culture, tradition, geography, and climate, thus becoming the gastronomic identities of our cities. This is unlike the modern food practices, which is more pluralistic in nature due to globalization and migration, and is merely based on convenience shopping, like the compartmentalized supermarkets or restaurants, which have no story to tell or relation with the surroundings. Whereas in these images showcasing traditional food spaces, it is seen that food is part of a wider culture along with different elements present in the urban settings. In our old cities, food is very much interwoven with the surroundings, which has led to survival of these age-old recipes as well as the streets. The essay thus explores this relation of culinary heritage with architectural heritage through the lens of traditional urbanism. India is one such country having varied and rich history of culinary palette as a result of varied geography nationwide and the cultural exchanges between the indigenous and migrant communities that the country experienced over the centuries. Food is thus central to understanding the diverse cultures and communities of this country. The cases thus chosen are from cities with different cultural background and architecture addressing varied aspects of traditional urbanism. We start with the example of Charminar precinct of Hyderabad with its bustling historic markets, architectural marvels, surrounded by hundreds of food joints serving age-old recipes. From this, we move on to the traditional urban network of original residents of Mumbai, the fishing communities called Kolivadas. The next example is that of journey of temple cuisine of Udupi to the bylanes of big metro cities, and lastly, the Velappam street of Thrissur.
Hyderabad, the city with 400 years of the glorious history, was recently awarded with the title of Creative City of Gastronomy by UNESCO. The Hyderabadi cuisine is a beautiful patchwork of Mughal, Turkish, Arabic along with the native Telugu and Marathwada cuisines. Most importantly, it is responsible for 12% of the city's working population, though globalization and tourism have brought new food trends to India's second Silicon Valley. The age-old recipes and the cuisine is still preserved in the bylands of Old City. William Wright writes in the social life of small urban spaces, if you want to seed a place with activities, put out food. Food attracts people who attract more people. And this is very evident in the extremely dynamic and complex urban ensemble of Charminar, Mecca Masjid, Char Kaman or Four Gates, and the colorful historic bazaars with Islamic architecture providing a realm for over 1,000 food joints and along with the number of other activities as illustrated in the map. The local restaurants hold some of the oldest and interesting cooking methods of traditional dishes that are accessible to all sections of the society, evoking the taste and the aroma of distant land and the distant time in the history. Festivals like Ramzan are the divine feast in the city. Iftar parties and all the other food joints across the old city with fabulous aromas of biryani, halim and many more attracts people from all the religious and socio-economic backgrounds. The sound of azan from Mecca Masjid floating through the air enhance the experience of this rich heritage setting. The everyday life around Charminar and Old City is equally exciting and vibrant. The action street, with the backdrop of Pathagatti, leads to the Charminar, is full of shops serving various food items, fruits, vegetables, stalls, along with the other goodies that the markets are famous for. Tourists standing at the old Irani cafe taking a sip of Irani chai with Usmania biscuit and Irani samosa remain in an awe looking at Charminar, Mecca Masjid. And there is an all-around aura of joy in the air and celebration of everyday life and of the culture.
While this was about food contributing to placemaking, we now move on to the traditional urban food network of cosmopolitan Mumbai. Kolivadas, the 500 years old indigenous fishermen villages of Mumbai, and the historic docks are example of traditional chain of fish catching, auctioning, storing and drying places. Mumbai as we see today was originally 7 islands occupied by the coolies or the fishermen settled near the coast with their life intricately woven with their occupation. Reclamation over years has pushed these original residents to the periphery of the city. The map shows the old docks and the villages still lying in and around Mumbai, making their living off the sea, despite a very different world rising around on land and drastic changes underwater. The 1 or 2 storied, colourful houses form contrast with high-rise development engulfing these communities. The recent coastal road proposal is under debate for its evident threat affecting the livelihood of this native community and benefiting only few elites. Worldly Kolivada is one such fisherman village with mixed-use settlement with multiple temples, a mazar and a cross, and multi-use open spaces used for stitching nets, drying fishes, parking for vehicles, and for children to play. The recent ceiling constructed in close proximity to this settlement, serving few car owners, often interferes with the fishing activity. The major public spaces for this community are the markets and the old dockyards where their daily economic activities take place. The men folk go around fishing in small boats or big trawlers, while the women are central to the trade as they carry the fish to the markets and sell them. This indigenous settlement faces many threats such as overfishing, competition from foreign large-scale operators, and most importantly, development pressure as the coastal land is in huge demand for redevelopment by private developers. All these factors have resulted in future generation quitting this mode of income and switching to white-collar jobs. Although their built environment is now being recognized as heritage, one needs to realize that the long-term existence of this community is dependent on conservation of this urban food network and needs a more comprehensive plan.
While this was about the indigenous communities of Mumbai, Mumbai is also a metropolitan city and hence a home for a number of migrant communities who with them have also brought their food, thus giving rise to the pluralistic food culture within the city. Udupi cuisine is one of the example of such cuisine that travelled to the city and the world from Udupi temples as a result of industrialization and the occurrence of the flood in the Udupi, which ensured people moved to the cities to earn a living. Predominantly with the Dravidian style of temples, the Udupi temple precinct consists of 8 mathas, a holy pond, temple kitchen and Bhojanshala. Bhojanshala is a big pillared hall with a skylight in the center that served the authentic Udupi cuisine in the form of prasadam, a holy offering, to almost 5,000 pilgrims every day and up to 1 lakh pilgrims on the festive days. This colorful cuisine is set on a lush green banana leaf, consists of salads, chutneys, curries, payasam, dosas, appams made with the local food ingredients like rice, coconut, jackfruit, spices, brinjal and many others. Modern transformation of this Sattvic food from famous Sri Krishna temple set up by Madhvacharya in 13th century to the violence of the big cities like Mumbai, Mangalore happened because of Shetties and Nayaks. They were the first caterers who took Udupi cuisine to the parts of India and made idli, sambar, vada, dosa an integral part of our everyday meal in metropolitan cities, serving the fast-paced urban life. Udupi brand of restaurants were the first restaurant chain in India having collective ownership, now making a place in cities abroad like New York, London and Toronto as well. Though Udupi cuisine travelled the world with idlis, dosas and sambar, adjusting to the availability of the ingredients and substitutes in varied regions, the Sri Krishna temple and the 8 mathas in Udupi still hold the authentic flavors of variety of indigenous recipes and the spaces catering to the thousands of pilgrims every day.
Regional food, especially in global south, has deep connection with moral values and societal structure. Hence, ethnic composition of a place along with the geography also influences the kind of food that is consumed in that region. Velappan of Thrissur is a street resultant of such compositions. Appams are an integral part of Syrian Christians' cuisine and hence the street selling the famous soft Velappams type of appams got its name Velappan or the Velappam market. This 200-year-old market of 12 to 13 rundown shops is located in proximity to Puttinpalli Church, Asia's third tallest church with Gothic architecture. For generations, every shop of this food hub has been making 500 to 1000 appams daily in traditional way, catering to the predominantly Christian population living in and around the church. Rice, which is main ingredient of this snack, is brought from the neighboring Aryangadi or the rice market of the commercial historic core. The street also serves as a snack place for the workers from this market. Following map illustrates the location of the church, Velappangadi Street, and the rice market, located in proximity with each other. The geography of this region is also favorable for rice produce, making it a key ingredient in almost all of its food practices. Kole wetland of Thrissur contributes to 40% of rice cultivation of Kerala state. The mixed-use build structure of both Velappangadi and Aryangadi have shops on the ground floor with upper floors serving as residential spaces. These are built in typical Kerala style vernacular architecture with long steep roof and wooden windows and balconies. The ground floor shops spill onto the verandas lining the street with white fluffy Velappams along with other snack items. Thus, the urban composition of church, appam, rice market, geography complemented by the ethnic composition has sustained this age-old recipe and the street.
The profound relation of food heritage with traditional built form geography along with the social, economic and cultural practices is evident from the above case examples. What they share in common is the traditional urbanism through everyday interplay between food and people in public spaces promoting sociability. While food as a central or supporting element, these townscapes host diverse activities within densely built walkable communities. Such food streets with varied uses might often be regarded as chaotic and dirty by modern practices. But this is the traditional urbanism that brings vibrancy and gives multisensory experience. The very principle of James Jacob and Leon Carey emphasizing the importance of compact, permeable, mixed-use, human-scaled environment, those are reflected in these urban forms. The sensitivity towards these non-spatial ingredients of urbanism is lacking in modern development strategies, where food-oriented shared public realms are replaced by more contemporary practices and designs like malls, supermarkets, restaurants. Those are becoming the places of exclusion and lacking opportunities for community engagement. Suzanne Perham points that the nature of food's relationship to spatial design has significant capacity to support or undermine our cities as sustainable and convivial places. which has been exemplified in the urban heritage settings in the earlier examples. Hence, indeed, there is a need for modern food and spatial practices to create a holistic dialogue between built and the unbuilt to achieve more balanced and culturally enriched urbanism. Thank you.